Time to go see if I can round up some firewood.
Well, I managed to find some deeper snow. The original brake lock valve was located under the seat, back of the skidder, reaching over the winch, and here come the shackles. That ought to be far enough. Set the cruise control. Here's a little bit of deeper snow. She's inching her way forward. Come along, Junior. Well, looks like the old wood pal's getting a little low. Just about time to go get some more.
degrees Fahrenheit, 353 Detroit diesel. Will it start? Never without preheating. Let's get it warmed up.
This old Detroit diesel usually starts pretty good when it's above 40 degrees. Just give her a little shot of ether sometimes and it'll fire right up. But when it gets below freezing, you can use a whole can of ether and it won't even fire.
Well, looks good. Let's get that preheater set up.
I do believe winter is in the air today. I really like this propane heater. I picked it up from Tractor Supply a while back. It uses DeWalt 20-volt batteries, same as my drill, which is awesome for taking it out in the woods where you don't have an outlet to plug it in. Of course, you can plug it into 110 also if you have an outlet nearby. I picked up this 7-inch stovepipe elbow at the hardware store and I attached it to the output end of the heater with a few sheet metal screws to hold it on there. Then I got a couple of lengths of 7-inch pipe, which I just stick in there when I want to use it and direct it into the engine compartment of the skidder. I just cover up the engine compartment with this tarp and hold it on there with these super strong magnets from Amazon to keep the heat inside. Works pretty good. This one tank of propane's lasted me pretty much the whole season. It's pretty economical. Once the heater is going on this thing, I just leave it on low for half an hour or so, and it gets the engine warmed up and ready to go. Once the heater is going and doing its thing, it gives me an opportunity to knock the snow off of this thing and get it all uncovered and ready to go. I installed a digital temp gauge on this thing a while back. Comes in handy when I'm preheating because I can see how I'm progressing and when it's about time to start the engine on this thing.
I still got a ways to go.
Once it gets in the mid-40s, it'll usually start for me.
Well, let's see how she's gonna do. Come on, baby. Come on, baby, you can do it. All right. Well, time to go see if I can round up some firewood. Let's do this.
I did some logging a while back and I still have some of the treetops out in the woods from the trees that I cut down for the logs. So I'm heading out this morning to the Northwest 40 to see if I can grab a hold of some of these tops and drag them in for firewood. Most of the tops out there are hard maple, but there's some soft maple and a few birch also. I've got about a half a mile trek back into the woods to where these treetops are located. The old International S7B cable skidder is running like a top this morning. Detroit diesel screaming. Oh yeah, love it. That's what I'm talking about. Doesn't get any better than this. I picked up this old Skidder pretty cheap a few years ago. When I got it, the brakes didn't work at all on it, and the winch didn't work. The winch was a pretty easy fix. I just put new hydraulic lines on it. The brakes on this thing has just one big drum on the output side of the transmission. The drum and the brake shoes looked like brand new almost, but the wheel cylinder and the master cylinder were in pretty rough shape. Well, I did a little research online and I come to find out that the master cylinder on this thing is pretty much the same as a 1948 Ford. So I ordered one, and sure enough, it bolted right in. Now the brakes work great on this thing. You really need to have brakes on this thing, because when I first got it with no brakes, it's pretty scary when you get on any hills and you're trying to work the machine and skid logs and whatnot. And forget about trying to winch anything. The only way you can do that is if you back it against a tree or a stump or something like that to hold it in place. Otherwise the winch will just pull the whole machine back. The only way you can stop the machine when it's rolling is to drop the blade, and that doesn't work when you're going backwards. Even when you are going forward, the blade is not very fast on this thing, and it takes a while to put it down. And this thing with the mechanical reverser, there's no way you can jam it into gear to stop it when it starts moving. Not like you can with a hydrostatic reverser. Heck, you don't even really need brakes with a hydrostatic reverser. You can just use the reverser to stop and to hold yourself on a hill and whatnot. Pretty hair-raising with no brakes. Well, I managed to find some deeper snow out here. So I'm trying to back through some of this deeper stuff to get closer to a nice-looking hard maple top that I would really like to hook onto and drag out of here. There we go, made it. Boy, if I didn't have these bear paw chains, I don't know what I would do. Okay, let me get these brakes set and go hook a top. I'm only going to use one choker to drag this top out of here, so I'm going to hang the rest of the chokers off of this hook so I don't have to drag the weight of all 5 chokers through this waist-deep snow all the way to the top. The cable alone is heavy enough without dragging all 5 chokers. So I need to pull about 50 feet of cable out here to reach this treetop and winch it in. Unfortunately, the cable is stuck. It's binding on the winch and it doesn't want to come out. So I'm pulling on it, no dice. I'm gonna have to go find another top. This one's not working. I'm heading deeper into the woods now. I need to find another treetop that's closer to the trail here that I can hook onto without pulling that cable any farther out than where it was stuck. So here's another top. I found one nice and close, got hooked onto it, winching it up, and everything is going just fine at this time. Well, let me get the brakes released. I wired in a line lock I ordered from Summit Racing to lock and release the brakes on this thing. Works really good, much better than the original. The original brake lock valve was located under the seat, kind of hard to reach, hard to get to. I took it apart and I was going to rebuild it when I fixed the brakes on this thing, but it was all rusted and in pretty bad shape, and good luck finding parts for it. So I figured I'd try one of these line locks from Summit Racing, and it works great. Love it. I also installed an idiot light with a flasher so that I wouldn't forget to release the brakes before I start driving. Not that I would ever do something like that. Now that I have some weight on the winch, I set it to freewheel and I pulled the cable out 100 feet or so, and I'm winching myself back in neutral to rewind the cable onto the spool of the winch and get it straightened out so that I can pull it out without any difficulties. This technique usually works really good. It's a heck of a lot easier than climbing up on the back of the skidder, reaching over the winch and prying at the spool with a couple of pry bars and crowbars trying to untangle that cable. Ask me how I know. Alright, I see another top there on the left. Looks like easy pickings. We're going to snag that one too. And see if I can pull two of them back. I don't think the snow is that deep. I should be able to handle it. Except the old brakes. And let's see how I did with the respooling of the winch. It ought to pull out nicely now. Come on, baby. There we go. Much better. Well, snow's kind of deep here. Waist deep. Up a little hill. Get this thing connected. Alright, I stumble my way around to the skidder. Alrighty then, let's get this baby winched up. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Here come the shackles, that ought to be far enough. A little snow developing on my seat cushion. Alright, let's go. Set the cruise control. Here's a little bit of deeper snow. See if I can pull it through here. Oh yeah, she's moving. She's inching her way forward. I'm thinking we're good. Hold downshift to third gear. Boy, that old Detroit diesel, she sure is screaming today. Boy, it sure is pretty in the woods today. Come along, Junior. We're almost there. Alright, let me get these chokers unhooked. And reel in this cable. That ought to do it. I'm going to push these things off to the side now so I have a little bit of room to deal with over here. That way I can keep things nice and tidy here in my area of operation. And I'll come back later and cut them up. Well, I'm going to call it Mike Charlie for today. I'm going to put this skidder away and call it a day. I'll come back tomorrow and cut them up.